Nithyananda, everybody. Welcome back. So, as we are preparing ourselves for the live Darshan, we're going to be learning about the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the advent of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Sorry for the technical glitch. Yes. As we are learning about the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was born on 3rd of January 1978 in the holy town of Tiruvannamalai in India. And on 17th of July 1981, at just the age of 3, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was coronated into Bala Sannyas by the enlightened adepts and enlightened masters in Hinduism. The science of identifying incarnations is revealed very clearly in the Hindu tradition. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was identified as an incarnation at a very young age by Yogi Yogananda Puri. At the age of 16, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was coronated to revive the Kailasa. As we can see in the photograph here, towards the left, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's Guru, Mata Vibhudananda Puri, has blessed the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism with the Kamandalu and the Danda, which is given as an initiation to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And here we're looking at the early days where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, at a very young age itself, began the construction and revival of the entire mission of Sri Kailasa. As you can see, when the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was very young, the temple monastic complex towards the left, his Guru Mata Vibhudananda Puri, he himself built brick by brick, following the instructions and the guidance of his Guru. Similarly, at the age of 8, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism constructed and established the first Adinam, or the temple monastic complex, the Kailasa temple, in Tiruchengodu Adinam on 14th of April 2001. And in the year 2002, on 4th of November, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism established the Adi Kailasa Sarvanya Peetham, which is the headquarters. Year 2004, at the age of 25, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism started conducting mass living enlightenment programs and conventions of the 7 energy bodies. As you can see in the photograph, there are huge amounts that started flocking in at a very young age itself. So these are the various establishments and the revival of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism to establish Kailasa all around the world. As we can see, at the age of 27, the Supreme Pontiff of various high-class and high-end programs. Similarly, in the year 2010 also, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continued to establish and create various mass enlightenment programs for the entire mass. On 18th of September 2015, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism initiated thousands into mass enlightenment in Kumbh Mela in Nasik. Similarly, on 5th of May 2016, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism initiated thousands into living enlightenment at the Kumbh Mela festival in Ujjain in India. Here is a brief coronation, the various, as we can look at right now. These are the various coronations of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. At the tender age of 10, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was coronated and ordained as the 233rd Guru Mahasanidhanam of Kanchi Kailasa Sarvanya Peetham. following which he was coronated as the incumbent emperor of the Suryavamsa Surangi Samrajyam, then the present 23rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Dharmamukti Swargapuram Adinam. He was also coronated as the 293rd Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Madurai Shyamala Pita Sarvanya Pitam and coronated as the Mahamandaleshwar of the Mahanirvani Akhada. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is also the 1008th Acharya Mahamandaleshwar of the Atal Akhada, and ultimately was elected as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism by a huge mass number of leaders, Hindu spiritual leaders, with over 1,000 Hindu leaders and pontiffs. Here, we're looking at an introduction to the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa, also the United States of Kailasa. Kailasa itself is a macrocosmic, ancient, enlightened Hindu civilizational nation, whose very vision is to live enlightenment and providing this science for the entire humanity. The mission of Kailasa is to revive and share the today's world practical applications of the greatest science that the authentic Hinduism has to contribute to the entire world, be it the science in the Hindu cosmic physics, Hindu alchemy, Hindu cosmology, Hindu biology, in various other topics and categories. At one point in time, there were over 56 nations that practiced all of these truths and this enlightenment science, but now has been facing an extinction due to the persecution of Hinduism over a millennium. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also initiated over 1,008 Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations initiatives that are directly in relation with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So as you can see, various initiatives has been taken towards women empowerment, towards empowering the indigenous communities, protecting Kailasa's Uniting Nations against cyber terrorism, and so on. Here we're looking at the photographs taken from the No Hungry Home initiative. Began right from the time he started the public life over the last 27 years. We have 1 billion plus meals that have been served over the last 27 years. And the Hindu ASMT community, which is the Adi Saivite minority tradition, has served more than 3 meals in religious gatherings to everyone without any discrimination of caste, creed, race, religion, without any of that. And even till date, we have 10,000 meals that are served every single day, completely free of cost. And these numbers hit up to over 100,000 on festival days. You can all have a look at the various photos that are there. As we all know, the COVID pandemic took a huge toll on each and every one of our life and on the entire world in a global range. During the pandemic, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism converted every monastery campus into a quarantine facility for all the participants and all the people from around the world. Free food, free internet access, free shelter, free clothing, everything was given free for all, regardless of any differences in age, gender, color, or socioeconomic status. And 30 million citizens followed the Kailasa's 28-day spiritual regimen in 2020 to protect themselves from the COVID pandemic. And here we're looking at an introduction to the Nithyananda Hindu University. The Nithyananda Hindu University was established by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and it is the world's largest Hindu university. The Nithyananda Gurukul, established on October of 2nd, 2006 by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, is the stepping stone towards the revival of the ancient Adi Shaivite Gurukul Guru-disciple education system. It's an authentic knowledge transmission system based on the science of enlightenment. Looking at the numbers, as you can see, over 20 million students have enrolled with over 7,000 free courses and extended campuses in over 150 countries. And these are the photographs of the Nithyananda Jnanalaya and the Hinduismpedia, which is the contribution in the field of library. As we know, in every tradition, it is the knowledge that is the main, that is the base. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has established the Nithyananda Hindu Jnanalaya to collect and preserve the 1 million plus Hindu scriptures that are there. to ensure that all of this knowledge is preserved, protected, digitized, and shared to all for free. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself has authored over 10,000 books in 3 languages. These have also been translated into 50 languages. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also published over 10,000 articles and given over 10,000 plus free discourses, which have hit over 1 billion views. The Kailasas Hinduismpedia is a collection of more than 15 terabyte of digital books and rare manuscripts from all the 19 Sarvanya Pitams, which are the ancient mutts and the authentic traditions from around India and the other parts of the world. 1 million pages of Hinduism and 22,000 digital books have been there. And these are the photographs, as we can see, where the peace conclaves and confluences have been held for the global peace and religious harmony by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. As we can look in the photos right now, this is just one incident where in 2009, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism organized for a month-long peace walk covering 1,000 kilometers and 10,000 villages in India to bring to all walks of life and promote a feeling connection between all the people. And health camp and healthcare systems were provided to all the participants and all the villagers and the citizens completely free of their time. And here we're looking at the women empowerment initiatives by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as part of the Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations for the Feminine Empowerment. Kailasa's Yogini Sarvanya Peetham established the yoga and the meditation universities to empower the very quality of the life for the women, and emphasis of solutions that have been provided by Paramashiva in our Vedagamic scriptures towards empowering women. And some of these initiatives include Kailasa's Nithyananda Lakshmi, which is a microfinancing service. We have Kailasa's Women Foundation and Women Empowerment Self-Help Centers. And this has been launched in over 108 places around the world since the year 2000. We also have Kailasa's Ankita program and the Kailasa's Ashray program. And here we're looking at the Nithyananda Yoga. This is one of the greatest achievements established by Kailasa and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, making yoga as a very lifestyle, the authentic yoga as per the scriptures. At this point in time, we are seeing so many different types of yoga that have come out, but this yoga that has been practiced and that has been revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is completely scientific, at the same time validated through the Shastras, which is the authentic Hindu scriptures. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has revived over 108 scientifically validated kriyas that target various health disorders and health problems, starting from arthritis, diabetes, blood pressure, and so on. Similarly, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also revived two ancient traditional forms of yoga, which is the Nithyananda Shivastamba Yoga and the Kundalini Rajju Yoga, which is performing the yoga on the pole and the rope. As you can see in the photos that are there, we have also established 2 Guinness World Records on September 30th and October 3rd, 2017. While all of this is happening, despite being continuously and heavily persecuted for over a decade, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continues to be unwavered in his intention, his commitment, and action in building the only Hindu nation, which is the United States of Kailasa, to protect, to revive, and to preserve Hinduism, which is the most ancient, most peaceful, still living, and long-lasting demonstrable system that shows the max human possibility and the peaceful coexistence amongst all the people. So this is a brief introduction to each and every one of you, where we have seen the various initiatives by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the establishment of Sri Kailasa, the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa, which is the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation and the first nation of Hindus that is led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Presented, Sri Kailasa had spoken on behalf of the 2 billion global Hindu diaspora at the 14th session of the United Nations Forum on the minority issues. As you can see, the permanent ambassador to the United Nations from Sri Kailasa, representing in the United Nations. As we are looking at the various initiatives taken by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, we also have to know and look at the amount of persecution that has been taunted upon the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. With over 70 assassination attempts on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, 40 attacks on the community members, destruction of monasteries and temples, with over 60 incidents of attacks, molestation, rape, and so on women and women monks, and intense lawfare via over 100 false legal cases, all but are dismissed intersectional persecution using the entirely owned media, police, judiciary, and the various politicians. So this being a brief introduction to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the various initiatives taken by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and the persecution on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. If you want to learn more, and if you want to learn and become part of Sri Kailasa, you can head over to kailasa.org to learn more in detail about the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the various recognitions received by various statesmen around the world, and the persecution over the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So you can head over kailasa.org where you can learn about this. And you can also enroll yourself to become an e-citizen. We are having the scroll down below. So you can register yourself for the e-citizen where you get the various initiatives and you can become part of Sri Kailasa. So with that, we're coming towards the brief introduction. We learned about the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Sri Kailasa. It's enough time. After a short break, we are going to go over to experience and to witness, which is one of the various branches of Hinduism revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. It's going to be a glimpse of what each and every one of you can manifest after receiving the Bhava Samadhi Darshan that we're all preparing for to receive in a couple of hours from now. So let us all join together after a short break. Thank you.
Understand, literally last 39 years from the age of 5, whatever Paramashiva manifested through teaching, speaking, writing, every way, condensing the whole thing and presenting it to you all as experientially in these 21 days through this Jnana Charya, Jnana Kriya, Jnana Yoga, Jnana Jnana is Mahaparamashivoham. Lifestyle for just Paramashiva. Rituals to be just Paramashiva. Yoga for just being Paramashiva. Jnana, just Paramashiva. This Mahaparamashivoham is like literally the ultimate journey in a most safest way. Understand, literally last 39 years from the age of 5, whatever Paramashiva manifested through teaching, speaking, writing, every way, condensing the whole thing and presenting it to you all as experientially in these 21 days through this Jnana Charya, Jnana Kriya, Jnana Yoga, Jnana is Mahaparamashivoham. Lifestyle for just Paramashiva. Rituals to be just Paramashiva. For just being Paramashiva. Jnana, just Paramashiva. This Mahaparamashivoham is like literally the ultimate journey in a most safest way. Understand, literally last 39 years from the age of 5, whatever Paramashiva manifested through teaching, speaking, writing, every way, condensing the whole thing and presenting it to you all as experientially in these 21 days through this Jnana Charya, Jnana Kriya, Jnana Yoga, Jnana is Mahaparamashivoham. Lifestyle for just Paramashiva. Rituals to be just Paramashiva. Yoga for just being Paramashiva. Jnana, just Paramashiva. This Mahaparamashivoham is like literally the ultimate journey in a most safest way. Literally last 39 years, the age of 5, whatever Paramashiva manifests.
Nithyananda, everybody, welcome back. So now we are entering into where we are going to be learning about the extraordinary Shaktis of Paramashiva, which is directly something that we can experience. This science of power manifestation is revealed by Paramashiva in the Vedagamas. The Vedagamas are the source scriptures of Hindu in great detail that every human being is hardwired to manifest 463 plus extraordinary Shaktis. Manifesting powers are described as a system, a method, and a science for human beings to explore the various possibilities and the powers and have access to various states of consciousness. Shaktis manifest from the fundamental cognition that you are a divine and that you need to manifest divine. Not that you are a man and that you need to reach divine. Many of us would have understood and heard about Siddhis, which is something that is a common term that we get to know, especially when you enter into this field. But Shaktis are different from Siddhis. And Shaktis are what we are all experiencing and initiated into when we receive the Bhava Samadhi Darshan from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Shakti is expressed from the space of enlightenment as a side effect of feeling connection with the divine and high integrity with the Guru. Whereas siddhis are powers that manifest from tapas or penance for enlightenment, and siddhis happen on the path of enlightenment. So siddhis are not something that is immediate, and siddhis are not something that is permanent either. They have the potential to push you away. Similarly, Shaktis of Paramashiva manifest through ordinary human beings in an extraordinary way after the initiation. Shaktis are permanent, whereas siddhis are not, and siddhis may divert you from enlightenment. So these are the major differences between Shaktis and Siddhis. And here we're looking at the very important component where the science of power manifestation is authenticated through the four aspects or the evidences, which are the pramanas. The first is the Shastra Pramana, which are the eternal, unchangeable truths as revealed in the source scriptures. The next is the Apta Pramana, which is the experience of the living masters, enlightened masters. The next is the Atma Pramana, which is the personal experience of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And the fourth is the Pratyaksha Pramana, which is the empirical evidence and scientific experimentation. Of course, there's a long way to go through for science to catch up. Paramashiva is the source of these Shaktis. Paramashiva is the primordial divinity in Hinduism. His ultimate reality and cause, which is self-effulgent, Swayam Prakasha, all-pervading, unchanging beyond time, space, form, and causality. As a fundamental base of Avyakta, the unmanifest, and the Vyakta, which is the manifest existence, which are the five cosmic acts of Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, through Bhava, and Anugraha. The very science of power manifestation depends on the ultimate cognitions being mapped into your consciousness. When every ultimate truth, which is the jnana, when it is mapped into your consciousness, which is your prajna, it manifests as the possibility and the power of every being, which is the prajnana. So now let us get ready to witness a very unique and extraordinary, to witness this extraordinary science of power manifestation. And first that we're going to look at is the reference of the power of third eye, which is given in the Shastras. And it's given in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Sutra 34, Dharana 11. Kapalantarmanonyasya tishtanmilita lochanaha kramena manaso dadyat lakshaye lakshya uttamam. By fixing the mind on the inner space within the crown center and sitting stably without any movement, having the eyes closed, in succession by that stability of the mind and the inner space, one directly sees the ultimate goal, which is the lakshyam, and by having the vision beyond the sight that reveals any place, object, or space attaining the space of oneness with the source, Paramashiva. So this is the Shastra Pramana. Next, we're looking at the Apta Pramana. The Apta Pramana is where the ancient rishis or the great beings have experienced and manifested this very power manifestation. So the science of third eye is actually revealed by Paramashiva and has been experienced and expressed in various Puranas. One such incident is from the Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan Krishna says to Arjuna, Natu mam shakshyase drishtu manenaiva svachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogam aishwaram. You cannot see my cosmic form with these physical eyes of yours. Therefore, divine third eye vision, behold my cosmic opulence. In the Hindu Purana Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna initiates Arjuna into the power of third eye to behold Krishna's Vishwarupa Darshan. The 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita contains a description of Bhagavan Krishna's cosmic form, and it is completely narrated by Arjuna as he sees Bhagavan Shri Krishna through his third eye. So this is the Apta Pramana. And next we're going to be looking at the Atma Pramana, which is the personal experience of Swamiji. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism
experience
says,
is that I was able
the first
to
experience
see
I was able to see everything around me,
above
360
me,
degrees, 10 directions,
the
below
whole
me, everything.
360 degrees.
I realized not only I was
10
able to see,
direction.
I was able to feel and
Below me,
experience
everything.
everything as me. So this is the Atma Pramana, which is the personal
I
experience.
realized not only I was able to see, I was able to
and the next
feel,
is
experience.
the Pratyaksha Pramana, where the third eye was actually tested through the positron emission tomography on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And while measuring during the regular activities, there were high waves, high activity that were measured on the various parts of the brain, like the complete brain. But when the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was in the deep state of Samadhi, just the third eye region alone was active, and over 90% of the rest of the brain was at complete peace. So this shows that the third eye exists, and it is something that can be awakened. So now we're going to be entering into the power manifestation itself. We're going to be manifesting the power of consciousness over. So this is the power manifestation where we are going to experience the signs where we can move objects without even touching. So we would have heard about this in we would have heard about this in stories, we would have seen about this in various graphic novels, read about it, and so on. But now, this is actually a science that each and every one of us can experience in our day-to-day life. And we have with us Srinitya Parameshananda Maharaj, who will be manifesting this power manifestation for each and every one of us. Nithyananda Parameshananda Maharaj, you can introduce yourself and the science of power manifestation.
Yes, so Nithyananda, to all the viewers watching us live on our social media platforms, now we'll be seeing the signs of power manifestation. The first power that we'll be manifesting is the power of remote vision.
Nithyanandam, everybody. Sorry for the technical glitch. Yes, so as we are preparing ourselves to enter into the power manifestation, let us look at the beautiful introduction. So yes, Parameshwar Maharaj, as you were sharing, we're going to be manifesting the various powers of third eye. And we're going to be starting with one of the expressions of the remote vision. So basically the science of remote vision is also something where you are able to see further off distances and see far off places being seated wherever you are. And one of the other powers through the third eye is also the science where you can actually move matter just through your consciousness. So that is something that we're going to be experiencing and manifesting as well. So as we prepare ourselves for this power manifestation, I request all the participants, we are all going to witness this science of power manifestation of consciousness over matter right now. And there are various other powers that have been revealed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And these powers, such as the consciousness over matter, and then you have the remote vision, you have the body scanning, you have the Ashtamaha-siddhis and Shaktis. There are various powers that get awakened through the third eye. So let us now look at the Shastra Pramana to manifest this science of consciousness over matter. The Shastra Pramana is revealed by Paramashivam in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Dharana 95, Sutra 120. Paramashiva reveals, Kvachit vastuni vinyasya shanair nivartayet tajnanam chitta sahitam devi shunyalayo bhavet. Having fixed one's eyes on a particular object, one should slowly withdraw the sight from that object, as well as slowly eliminate the knowledge of that object along with the thoughts and the impressions of it. Then, O Devi, one abides in the Shunya, the state where there is nothing other than this exists, the state of all inclusiveness or infinity. So this is the Shastra Pramana, which is the direct scriptural reference where Paramashiva himself reveals about this science of the power manifestation of consciousness over matter. So let us now enter into the science of power manifestation. Yes, Parameshwar Maharaj, you can share with every one of us as to how you're going to be manifesting this science of consciousness over matter.
So now we'll be seeing the live demonstration of the power of consciousness over matter. In consciousness over matter, it's not just about moving an object or trying to change the position of an object, but it is internally change space which you're holding. When we live our normal lives, we have still not come to the point where we are consciously and continuously being in the state Paramashiva. So now when we start manifesting these powers or matter or any of the other powers of third eye, then bringing our state of oneness, of our state of awareness on that consciousness, on Paramashiva, and we start manifesting these powers. So now what I'll be doing is I will be placing my hands on a flat surface, and then I will be placing my hands on a flat surface and keeping the Atmalinga on top of it. So the Atmalinga is the energized Spatika Linga or the crystal Linga, which is come directly from the Himalayas. And this is directly energized by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And it is a direct embodiment of Paramashiva, which we can carry with us all the time. It is our direct 911 emergency number. So it has immense energy to heal, to manifest our reality, and everything that we need to create our reality, to create our desires into reality, our Atmalinga can do. So this, after that, Bhagavan directly had initiated all the devotees. Many times Swamiji has given the initiation to make the Atmalinga stand. So all the viewers who are watching us can also take your Atmalingas or any object, because this is a space of entanglement. It is not just me going to do a demo, but it is going to become an entanglement. Whatever desires we want to manifest, whatever um, reality we want to manifest, that we'll be able to manifest now. So all of us can bring our any object that we want, or whatever desire you want to manifest intensely. Let us start visualizing that manifestation. Now I'll be chanting the Mahavakya. So I'll be showing my hand now, and after that all of us can also connect with this space of entanglement. And now I'll be chanting and all of us can also start chanting the Mahavakya, and we'll intensely create the reality which we want. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Oham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
As we can see, the Atmalinga is
Om
standing up.
Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
And it is not just moving towards the left or right, but it's a completely from the horizontal position. The Atmalinga is moving straight upwards.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Yes. So, as we all saw, this beautiful science of the consciousness over matter, where practically by using this science of power manifestation, we can experience anything that is possible. What we saw right now is not just something that is not or that is possible only for a few people, but it is actually possible for each and every one of us. And all that we have to do is to recession of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, prepare ourselves by receiving the powerful cognitions, and then have the darshan of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, which will help you manifest this science of power manifestation directly. So this was a brief introduction to each and every one of you. So now it is time where we move to the next session, where we are going to see and learn about Mahasadashiva Murthy, the various truths that Mahasadashiva Murthy embodies, so that we can prepare ourselves to receive the Bhava Samadhi Darshan. I request all the participants and viewers who are sitting with us around the world, please stay tuned. We're going to connect back after a short break. Thank you.
Understand, literally last 39 years from the age of 5, whatever Paramashiva manifested through teaching, speaking, writing, every way, condensing the whole thing and presenting it to you all as experientially in these 21 days through this Jnana Charya, Jnana Kriya, Jnana Yoga, Jnana is Mahaparamashivoham. Lifestyle for just Paramashiva. Rituals to be just Paramashiva. Yoga for just being Paramashiva. Jnana, just Paramashiva. This Mahaparamashivoham is like literally the ultimate journey in a most safest way.
Nithyananda, everybody, welcome back. Yes, so we witnessed the power manifestation where we saw the consciousness over matter. And during that time, we also learned about the science of being authenticated through the Shastras, then to the Aptas, through the Atma Pramana of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and then the scientific evidence. And only after that, this great science is provided to each and every one of us. Now, we're going to be learning about the 25 states of consciousness. Like right now, some of you are listening, some of you are physically sitting and watching the video, but your mind is turned off and is somewhere else. So like that, each of us are in different states of consciousness as is right now. But we are going to now learn about 25 different states of consciousness. Paramashiva has revealed in the Agamas about the 25 states of consciousness. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has elaborately described in detail about the 25 states of consciousness. So we are all going to listen from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism about the 25 states of consciousness and how we are going through all of these 25 states of consciousness in our life at various situations, and how we can enter into each of the states of consciousness that we want through our own will and through our own desire, by ourselves, rather than just falling into a state accidentally. So first, we are going to listen from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism about the 25 states of consciousness. I request all the participants who are sitting with us from around the world, please sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. And let us now listen from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism about the 25 states of consciousness. Thank you.
I welcome you all for the experiential session on Jiva. Listen, first let me define Jiva. What you perceive yourself as of now to whatever you can perceive you. Till that level, you are called Jiva. When you cannot perceive you anymore individually, separately, you are Shiva. Listen, let me repeat once more. Whatever you perceive as you, as of now, from this point to whatever you can perceive as you, whatever you are perceiving as of now to whatever you can perceive as you. Understand? Even if you perceive yourself as Sadashiva, you are only Jiva. It's within the matrix. There will be a space where you will not perceive yourself as an individual. Only then you are Shiva. Listen carefully. I'll repeat once more. Whatever you think as you as of now, from this to whatever you can think of you, perceive you, all that put together is Jiva. There will be a space where you can't perceive you separately. That is Shiva. You have two levels of existing. Listen carefully. Two levels of existing. One with the thought currents, without the thought currents. With the thought currents means an active inner image, constantly spitting thoughts. without thoughts, in deep sleep, where I think some of you are in that state now. If you are not hearing me, you are in that state. If you are hearing me, you are not, fortunately. I'll repeat, listen. With thoughts, without thoughts. With thoughts, all of you know, constantly picking fight with everyone, everything. Actually, with thoughts is nothing but constantly picking fight with everything. When you stop picking fight with everything, there will be no thought. Thought is tan in your existence. When there is uneasiness and you decide to pick fight with some part of you or the other, then comes thought. Without thought, you know, deep sleep, in the night time, or sometimes in the daytime. Whenever you are in the deep sleep, no thought. So these two, same way, listen. With thought, without thought. Same way, with your existence, remembrance of your existence, without the remembrance of your existence. Listen. Listen. You need to listen to these words very carefully. With the idea, I exist, I consciousness. Without the idea, I exist. These two states, how many of you are able to understand? See, now, all of you have the idea, I exist. Am I right? The deep sleep, do you have that? That is why it is sleep. So, there are two ways and two states. Two ways is with thought, without thought. Two states is with the idea I exist and without the idea I exist. How many of you understand that? Project. Listen. With the idea, I exist, and with thoughts, listen carefully, because you need to understand this unit. This is the fundamental unit. How the states of consciousness is formed in you. Why you go through what you go through in your life. Understand, ignorance is not cute. Ignorance of traffic rules is not going to save you from the traffic ticket. Ignorance of traffic rules is not going to save you from ticket. Ignorance cannot be a reason for not following. Same way in the cosmos, ignorance is not cute. Yes, you can be victim, singing song, oh, I am ignorant, innocent devotee. Who is going to care? No. A devotee cannot be ignorant. Jnana varishta bhakti. devotion established on knowledge and understanding. That is devotion. With thoughts, with the idea, I exist, I consciousness, that state is called thinking, Jakrat. All of you are able to understand the word wakeful state, Jakrat? If you understand the word Jakrat, wakeful state, raise your hand. Great. I am using the Sanskrit word so that I will not forget. And so let me go to the next word. I am introducing these 4 words. With thoughts, without the idea that I exist. That's called swapna. You may say, no. In dream also I remember I exist. No, listen carefully. In the dream, you will take examination with sitting with your son. How can that be? College exam you wrote much before the marriage. How many of you had this kind of a completely overlapping dream? You need to know the identity I does not have independent understanding. It is just overlapping, crisscrossing of few thought currents. See, like laser beam, if 4 or 5 beams cross, that looks like a independently shining, which is not. Same way, in the dream, few thought currents crossing, you feel as if your identity exists, but it is not. It does not have consistency. In one dream itself, that will change 20 times. How many of you have observed? In the waking state itself, it changes. Why dream state? How many of you say that? But in the waking state, at least little decent. In the waking state, it's more like an unstable spouse. Every half an hour divorce. And every 1 hour patch up. But in the dream state, it doesn't even behave like an unstable spouse. It behaves like a 10 minutes son, 10 minutes boss, 5 minutes brother, 5 minutes enemy. You just don't know.